So a quick recap of what we were discussing last week. So I'm asking now, how many of us here haven't installed the VirtualBox? And you have not also imported the CyberOps station. Is there anybody here that hasn't done that so that we can assist you before we go any further? I want to be sure that everybody has it installed and is working on their system. Is there anyone here? Because once we proceed from this point, it will be difficult to come back and look at that issue again.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Bernard.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, sir.
I can hear you, Bernard.
Okay, so please, if you can share the link for me, I tried to download from the WhatsApp link, but it's not going through. So I want you to send the link for me.
Okay, so I will share it on Google Drive and see if you can download it from there. Is that fine by you?
Okay, sir. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, lovely. So who else again with the issue of installing the VirtualBox? Is
Hello,
anyone
sir.
in this room? Yes, I'm with you.
Can you hear me, sir?
Very well, I can hear you, Israel.
Okay. Actually downloaded it, but yet to install. And
so what are you waiting
like
for?
You said yesterday. Yeah, I'm trying to free up my system so that I can install those.
Okay, what I just did also is I sent us a very short video on how you can access VirtualBox. It's on the group chat. You just watch the video and then you just click on the installation and file. I mean, it has a wizard that will guide you through the installation. No settings, and you just get it done. One off. Within just 2 minutes, you're fine. So the short video is online. You just watch it quickly and then download that and install. Once you install that, you get the cyber workstation. I've also attached that on the group chat as well. The link is there, but I have it already downloaded. I have all of them. I could share them on a Google Drive if need be. If you're having issues with getting, but please also note that you must download the right version. If you get the wrong version downloaded, you might have issue. I remember one of the trainings I did in Ghana. The cyber workstations that was installed obviously was the old one, the old version, and it wasn't giving us the right result. So we had to uninstall and for some of the students and then install that again. So I wouldn't want any of us to go through that. This is an online training, so you must use the right version. Yes. Okay. So Bernard, I guess you're fine once I share that with you.
Yes, please.
Okay, fine. So anyone else who is here that haven't installed that? Okay, I think everybody's fine. Is that harder, Ben? What's the problem?
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
I installed the CyberOps workstation for the first time. It works, but now I try to launch it. I have network issues. An error message about network parameters are not right, and the machine is aborted.
Oh, really? Probably you need to remove that, or you can uninstall that completely, and then.
I have just delete this machine. I'm trying to install it another.
Yeah, sure. You can try that again. You can remove it. Probably, I think it's actually corrupt or something. Or so you need to just delete it and then get another one. And like I said, I'm going to share mine on Google Drive and then post the link on the group chat and see if that will help us.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think everyone is fine. So let me share my slide and then we'll continue. Like I said, we're going to work on the labs, but quickly let's finish the chapter 3. Then we'll come back to workstation. So I want to believe everybody is okay with that. So for Hada and Bernard, I'll share that with you. So you could just, I could post it to the group or probably if you chat me, I'll make it available. Okay, so just a minute so I can share my slide.
Yeah, good evening, doctor. Please, can you hear me? Hello.
I can hear you. I can hear you, please.
Yes, I just did the download. I finished with the download and the installation. It's working. We have to go through and then adjust to it. Thank you.
Okay, you're okay now?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Oh, that's good. Good to hear. Please, I want to be sure that everybody has it working so that once we're demonstrating anything, we don't leave anybody behind. So please, I will still have to shift this practical again tomorrow to be sure that for Bernard and Hada, I'll be able to pick up and then on the same page with all of us here. So I think that will go a long way to help. So we're actually discussing Model 3, which is a Windows operating system. And I think we actually look at the operating system, the architecture, that the various properties of Windows. What I think we should quickly do today, right? It's actually a long slide, but I think we should just go straight to specifics, which is, I feel it will be nice we go into Windows security and then see what the vulnerability here under Windows security. So I will just go straight to Windows security. And I'll advise you go through the other slides and then try to see how you can walk through that. But let's actually look at the security aspect of Windows for today. And so if you agree with me that Windows is actually vulnerable to a certain extent, but let's see what we have here. The netstart command actually is used for inbound and outbound connections and are not authorized. And if you have done your CCNA, you agree with me on this. It will actually display all the activity on the TCP connections. So it will show you all the connections you have inbound and outbound in terms of local or public connections. Once you use the command, when a program is suspected of being malware, the process can be shut down with the task manager. Remember yesterday we talked about task manager, that it goes a long way to help you monitor processes and see programs that are actually not good, probably programs that you don't install yourself and programs that could be virus or malware or in your system. And so you can actually terminate that process. You can stop it and all that. And malware removal software can be used to clean the computer. So to make this process easier, the connection can be linked into the running processes that were created by them in task management. So I want to believe every one of us know how to get there. Once you use the Control-Alt-Delete, your task manager is activated, and then you can start it and then go straight to the processes and see. Sometimes you see some of those programs that are malware. They tend to take a lot of your CPU utilization. And once you terminate those processes, you realize that you gain more speed on your processor. I don't know how many of us have experienced something like that. Some viruses take a hold of our CPU efficiency. So once you are able to detect unwanted programs like that, you can actually stop the process. So to do this, open a command prompt. You're using your CMD on Windows and with administrative privilege, and enter the nested ABNO. So you can state that from your right-hand side. Once you enter that, you can see the TCP connection. You can see the local address. You can see the foreign address. You can see your the process ID, that's the PID over there. There's a number of process ID that is running here is 4 and can be obtained. You can see also, so when we talk about TCP, we're talking about transmission control protocol. So you'll be able to see all these headers and it gives you a kind of direction. So by examining the active TCP connections, analysts should be able to determine if there are any suspicious programs that are listening for incoming connections on the host. So there'll be more than one processes listed with the same name. So if this is the case, use the unique process ID to find the correct process. So to display the process IDs for the processes, the task manager, open the task manager, right click on the table and heading, and then select the particular PID. So all that you can do and see those that are listening and those that are not and all that. So that's what the next start command helps us to achieve. It tells you, it gives you the different kind of connections that is running on your system. So as a system analyst, you need this command to be able to monitor such connections. And so we have the event viewer. This is another very good security tool on Windows. So the Windows event viewers log the history of applications, security, and system event. And this log files is also used for troubleshooting tools, provide troubleshooting tools and information necessary to identify a problem. So it's more like a way to troubleshoot, to give you some kind of activity of what is really happening within the system. So Windows includes two categories of event logs, and application and service logs. So you have the Windows logs, and then you have the application and service logs. For the Windows logs, you can see it's just to give you an insight of the different activities that are being carried out on the Windows operating system itself. And the application is in terms of number of applications that are running, and then the service log are the different services that are active on the system. So a built-in custom view called the administrative event shows all critical error and warning event. So it gives you, it tells you the severity of probably like warnings, some kind of telling you this is high risk, this is low risk, and all that. Just a way to categorize the risk level. So security event logs are found under Windows logs. So you can actually go under your search and then get your event viewer, and then you can see the drop down. As you can see to your right hand side, you can see the administrative log. You can see all that we're mentioning here. They are all there. And then this is the security event logs use event IDs to identify the type of event that is taking place. So this is just for you to be able to divulge and see the different kind of activities that are actually happening in the different logs. So you can see it has been categorized here, where you have the application, you have Windows, and then you have the services log. So you can see the Windows update management. So to ensure the highest level of protection against the attacks, always ensure your Windows is up to date with the latest service packs and security patches. And that's the reason why you have, when you have a genuine Windows operating system, it calls for a lot of updates time to time. And once this update is done, you agree with me that it brings up new patches just to strengthen the security of your Windows. So the update status shown in the figure allows you to check for updates. So you can see the update status. Can we see that? To your right-hand side, check for updates. I want to know how many of us are actually doing this? How many of us check for Windows updates? Are there anyone here who do that? Very important. All you're trying to do is to see that you boost the immunity of your Windows operating system. So the update that is shown, that's good. Thank you, Gunil, for that. So that shows that you're conscious about your operating system. And so that goes along with to help you to boost the immunity of the system and see the update history of the computer. You can actually check the history of the computer. And then patches are code updated that manufacturers provide to prevent newly discovered virus or worm. Remember Windows Defender. If you have Windows Defender, you agree with me. It has actually come to help with these issues. Looking at the legacy operating system, most of them don't have this kind of security architecture. They don't have the security architecture. So it is best, we're privileged to have Windows Defender in the newest operating system. So that you have this, you'll be able to update this Windows Defender and then get new patches to increase. So that means there are viruses that are out there invading systems. Microsoft will deem me fit to see how to get the new security patches for that. And once you do your update, you're good to go. So Windows Update Management, from time to time, the manufacturer combine patches and upgrade into a comprehensive update. Many devastating virus attacks could have been much less severe if more users download and install the latest service pack. Of course, it's true. It is highly desirable that enterprise utilize systems that automatically distribute, install, and track security updates. It's also very important for organizations. Windows remotely checks the Windows updates website for high priority updates that can help protect a computer from the latest security threat. So there are also settings for Windows hours where computer would not automatically restart, for example, during regular business hours. So we all agree that you can do a lot of settings to tell when you want your Windows to automatically start to install the new security apparatus, most when update has been completed. So it gives you that privilege to decide when you want this update to be carried out. So under Windows security, we also have what we call the local security policy. So you can do policy on Windows, policies to stop certain processes, policy to allow, policies to maybe disable certain activity. So a security policy is a set of objectives that ensure the security of the network, the data, and the computer system in an organization. So in most networks that use Windows computers, Active Directory is configured with domains on a Windows server. Windows computers join the domain. And then Windows local security policy can be used for standalone computers that are not part of an active directory domain. So you can actually have a policy that can be used for standalone computers that are not part of your active directory. So you can actually have this policy configured on the standalone computer. So remember, the major thing here is that you're looking at how you can use, how you can configure your Active Directory to be able to, probably for your domain. Remember, you can actually have Windows Server installed to manage your domain. For those of us who manage our domain within our organization, all that you can do. So here you can run it for an independent computer as well and carry out your policy. Under this local security policy, you can look at the group user policy. You can look at your local user policy and all that. So your password guidelines are also very important. Security policy. In the local security policy, password policy is found under account policies and defines the criteria for the password for all the users on the local computer. So use the account lockout policy in account policies to prevent brute force login attempts. So what you're saying is that you can strengthen the password policy under the account logout policy in account policy. So you can actually go straight to this under local security, and you can make these changes. So if the local security, it is important to ensure that all computers are secure when users are away. A security policy should contain a rule about requiring the computer to lock when the screensaver starts. So all these are actually policies. So you agree with me that by default, most of these policies are already set in place. It is also of importance for you to go into the Windows and actually, in some cases, strengthen the policy, like the brute force password logging. So you could have an attack where there's some kind of brute force login attempt. But if you were able to use account logout policy to strengthen that approach, you realize that you can stop such attack. The local security policy applet contains security settings that apply significantly to the local computer. So the user can configure user rights, can configure firewall rules, and the ability to restrict the files that users or group are allowed to run with the app locker. So this you can do under local security in Windows. If you go under event viewer, if you go under your this, you can actually access this under Windows security directly. So Windows Defender still under Windows security. Malware includes viruses, worms, Trojan horses, your keyloggers, spyware, and hardware. These are designed to invade privacy, steal information, damage the computer, or corrupt data. Remember, your virus is a type of malware. Worms are types of malware. All these, we're saying that they can steal information and damage the system. So it is important to protect computers and mobile devices using repeatable anti-malware software. And the following types of anti-malware programs are available. You can have antivirus protection, you can have hardware protection, you can have phishing protection, spyware protection. All these are actually available there for you to use to be able to protect your Windows operating system. Under the Windows Defender, it may take multiple scans to completely remove all malicious software. So run only one malware protection program at a time. That takes a lot. Several security organizations such as McAfee, Symantec, and Kaspersky offer all-inclusive malware protection for computers and mobile devices. So Windows has built-in virus and spyware protection called Windows Defender. This you can find with Windows 8, I think. I don't know Windows 7, but I know of Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, 11 seems to have this. But the legacy Windows operating system don't have it. So Windows Defender is turned on by default to provide real-time protection against infection or attack. Although Windows Defender works in the background, user can perform manual scan of the computer and storage device. So you actually need to do some kind of malware scanning, even though you already have it. Some of us don't even know how to get into a Windows Defender. So you can actually get into your Windows Defender by going to your control panel. You can see your security. You can do under your security or firewall, you can see Windows right there. And once you click on it, you can actually begin to do manual scan, or you can make it automated. So Windows Defender Firewall selectively denies traffic to a computer or network segment. To allow program access through the Windows, Defender Firewall search for control panels. Under System and Security, locate Windows, Defender Firewall. Click Allow an app or feature through the Windows Defender Firewall, as shown in the figure. So once you go straight to your Windows Defender Firewall, you just search for control panels. And under system and security, you locate Windows Defender Firewall, which you can see to our right hand side, and then click allow an app. Click on an app or future through Windows Defender Firewall as shown in the figure. So to disable the Windows Firewall and use a different software firewall, click on Turn Windows Firewall on or off. If you turn your Windows Firewall on or off, it means that you have, probably in this case, you have a new firewall that you could use. Remember, there are other systems that provide you firewall, so you can actually disable the one you have your Windows if you think it's not good enough. But I think it's fine if you have it on while you still use other firewall, especially when it's outside the system. So you can see Windows Defender Firewall state. In this case, if you look at it to your right, you can see it's actually on. Okay. So that's all about the Windows operating system, security precisely. So you can see the number of security features that you need to set in place and look at different malware and then how to get your Windows Defender working for you by default. I want to ask a question. If you have Windows Defender, do you still need to have another antivirus? Or you think you're good with Windows Defender? Is anyone that can react to that question? With Windows Defender, do we need additional antivirus or we don't? Hello? Yeah, I just asked us to see if we can react to this. Do we need additional antivirus, or with the Windows Defender, we're good to go?
Yes, we need additional antivirus.
Yes, we need.
Something advanced.
Hello? Anyone?
Yeah, we don't
Yes,
need.
we need an
Antivirus.
antivirus. Yes.
Because at times they do conflict.
So what you're saying is that once you have Windows Defender, you don't need to install an antivirus.
Yes, sir.
I think no, we need to install antivirus along with
Yes, we need
the
to
Windows
install
Defender.
antivirus. Yes. It's something different. Windows Defender is something and antivirus is another thing. So we need to install antivirus.
We need to. Who is speaking? Is that Islam?
Yes.
Okay, you said we need an antivirus even when we have Windows Defender.
From my experience,
Okay.
I noticed that always we have in our networks in the university, we have another antivirus beside the Windows Defender on the PCs in the university.
Okay, you still have an antivirus even when you have Windows Defender.
Antivirus too.
Yes, we have.
Okay, so why do you use both? Is there any advantage, competitive advantage it has over those who are not using?
I don't know why, but I think the antivirus gives more protection than the Windows Defender. Maybe the Windows Defender gives the minimum protection. Maybe.
Okay, that's a good one. Anybody who could react to that? Do we have any contrary view to that? Ben, let's get to hear from you.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think that the signature of some virus and malware
Antivirus.
are present in the database of, for example, Kaspersky, but not in the database of Windows Defender. For this, we need to install another antivirus to protect better our PCs.
Thank you so much, Hada, for that contribution.
I think maybe we don't need to install antivirus, but if we do, it will give us more security, or it give us more advanced features. Windows Defender provide us with the basic security features. Antivirus is more advanced. So if we install antivirus, we will have advanced features or advanced security features. This is my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're correct. The truth is this: if you look at the different antivirus we have, there are different viruses out there on a daily basis. You have viruses coming in and all that. So there's high possibility that Windows Defender sometimes might not have the right, do I say, the cure for certain viruses, but then probably Kaspersky does for that particular kind of virus. And so before Windows Defender will update their patches for that signature to be able to counter that virus, if you have an antivirus, it adds additional protection, just like the previous speaker said, just like Mohammed, Hada, and the rest of us actually contributed here. So you realize that adds some kind of additional protection, and holistically it helps to boost and give you some kind of higher efficiency when it comes to the system performance without viruses. So the more, but then you have to be careful, like one of the speakers also said, that you could have in some cases, there are some antiviruses you install, they some kind of conflict. You could have conflict in some situation because, for instance, you can have Kaspersky and Avast on the same system. You do that, you're going to have issues. So, but since Windows Defender comes by default with the operating systems, it also gives in room for you to install another antivirus. So adding an antivirus gives you extra protection, more or less enhanced protection. And remember, these antiviruses are being produced by two different companies, trying to make sure they help their customers to get rid of any new virus in town, any new virus in the internet. And so sometimes Avast might have solution to a particular virus, and Norton might not have it, and Windows Defender might not. So it goes on and on. So it's just good you have additional one, which will help you protect your system better, even your server. So you have a server, you don't just rely on the default antivirus, but be careful so you don't create a conflict and then start having issues trying to either uninstall one of them. So we'll go ahead to the next module. And please, for Hada and for Bernard, please make sure you get your system set between now and tomorrow so that you can follow through with some of the labs we'll be doing on the workstation. So I want to believe it's just the two of you for now that actually lagging behind. So I'll work with you closely to make sure you get to the same page. So let's go straight to chapter 4, which is Linux operating system. So Linux is module 4, and I'm going to introduce that. Except if you have questions for the Windows. If you have questions, you can ask, and then we'll go ahead. Any question? Any question? Is there any question? Do you have any question? Is there any question?
Oh, everything is good. Everything's fine.
You say you have any question? Hello? Okay. So let's go straight to Linux, and then we look at the objective. So here in the objective, we look at why Linux skills are essential for network security, monitoring, and investigation. And then how to use the Linux shell to manipulate text files, and then how client-server networks function, and explain how a Linux administrator locates and manipulates security log files, and how Linux file system and file permission, and then explain the basic components of the Linux graphical user interface. And then we also need to use how to use the tools to detect malware on a Linux. Okay. So this is Linux Basics. Linux is an operating system that was actually created in 1991. It's an open source, files reliable and small. It requires very little hardware resources to run, and is highly customizable. Linux is part of the server platform that can be found on devices. You can have this anywhere from your wristwatches to your supercomputers. You agree with me that you have this in virtual all our systems embedded in them. Even these days, if your smart AC, your smart fridge, you have a lot of them embedded. So a Linux distribution is a term used to describe the packages created by different organizations and include the Linux kernel with customized tools and software packages. So the value of Linux. Linux is often the operating system of choice in the security operation center that's in your SOC. Linux is open source, like I said. The Linux command line is very powerful. You can do a whole lot with it. It enables the analyst to perform tasks not only directly on the terminal, but also you can carry out some tasks remotely. You can actually tell net on it from wherever. The user has more control over the operating system. So the user use Linux root user or super user can modify any aspect of the computer with a few keystrokes. So it allows for better network communication control, and control is an inherent part of Linux. Before I go any further, are there those Linux users? We have Linux users in the house. Which of the Linux have you actually worked on? Have you worked? How many of us have actually been using Linux before now?
I work on Fedora.
Okay, Fedora, that's fine. Okay, so how many of us have actually used like Red Hat, CentOS, and all that?
I actually started with Red Hat before using.
Okay, Red Hat. Okay.
But that was old. That was a long time ago, in the days of Red Hat 7.1.
Okay. Okay. So there's a whole lot you can actually. One of the things I love about CentOS is that you can actually use it for. It does perfectly well with DNS server. If you try your hands on it, it'll get a long way to help you. So, and the good thing is, like we said, it's an open source, so you can actually customize it for different purposes. So Linux in the SOC. Remember, your SOC is a security operations center. So let's see the role of Linux in the SOC. The flexibility provided by Linux is a great future for the SOC. The entire operating system can be tailored to become the perfect security and analysis platform. So, and that's why, if you agree with me, that virtually everything we'll be doing here will actually be on Linux, and that's your cyber workstation is running on Linux. And so that means after today, I want you to go through the labs again for Linux. So even before we get there, and then do a lot of practice on it, it goes a long way to help us. Squill is a cybersecurity analyst that we're going to also use. The console is specially version of Linux called the Security Onion. So you can see that. We also have to import the Security Onion For those of us that don't have it, like I said, I will just share them on Google Drive to help us download them. Security Onion is an open source suite of tools that work together for network security analysis. So Linux and the SOC tool, we have the network packet capture software. The description here is actually a crucial tool for SOC analysts, as it makes it possible for to observe and understand every detail of the network transaction. And then the Wireshark is actually a popular packet capture tool, which we're going to experiment here. Like before I got into Linux, if you recall, I was able to display to us how you can access Wireshark on the Cyber Workstation. So we're going to do some labs using Wireshark as well. All we're going to do using the Cyber Workstation. So please make sure you have your Cyber Workstation working very well for you, because that is the platform for most of the practicals you'll be carrying out. So intrusion detection system, the tools are used for real-time traffic monitoring and inspection. If any aspect of the currently as following traffic patches matches any of the established rules, a predefined action is taken. So we also use the ideas here and also the preventive system. So we use the intrusion preventive system, and we also look at the intrusion detection system. All that as SOC tools. These are the tools that help you to carry out some analysis on the Cyber Workstation. So we also look at the firewalls, the log managers, the security information and event management. This were also explained in chapter 2 of this course. We say it provides real-time analysis of alerts and log entries generated by network appliances, such as your intrusion detection systems and firewalls. And then also, as part of the SOC tool that is required, you have the ticketing system. This actually task ticket assignment, editing, and recording is done through a ticket management system. And then there's a security alert that are often assigned to analysts through a ticketing system. The good news is that all these, we're going to look at them. Now, actually, this looks like a Linux platform. How many of us have used Linux here? Okay, good. Hannah is used Linux. Yeah, I sure like too. Quite nice. It's used for operational testing. So Linux tools, Linux computers are used in the SOC, often contain penetration testing tools. As you can see, like I said, Linux is one of them. A penetration test, also known as pen testing, is a process of looking for vulnerabilities in a network or computer by attacking it. So you can use Linux to do penetration testing. You can see Kali Linux is a Linux distribution which contains many penetration tools together in a single Linux distribution. Our advice as many of us here to actually try our hands on Kali Linux. You can do a lot of, you can use it to test for vulnerabilities. But you be careful, sometimes you don't cause harm on people's network. I wouldn't advise you to try that on your enterprise network. If you do that, you might cause some commotion. I hope you get that. So you can use it on probably on a small network that is being managed by you without any sensitive data, and then just test that. But it's good we explore all this to know how to use them. Please, I'm going to actually, for today, I'm going to stop by the next couple of minutes. I'm going to stop to this class early. We're having a meeting, a Cisco meeting, which I'm part of. So I'm going to seek your indulgence to be part of that meeting. So in the next 10 minutes, I'll be running off for today, and then we'll catch up tomorrow. Okay, so we'll be looking at working in the Linux shell. The Linux shell, the user communicates to the OS by using the CLI or the GUI. So you can actually use the command line or use the graphical user interface, whichever one works for you. Linux often starts in the GUI by default. This hides the command line from the user, of course. But remember, you can do a whole lot of with the command line. So don't just rely on the GUI. If you want to be a good cybersecurity analyst, you should be working well with the command line. So one way to access the command line from the GUI is through a terminal emulator, which I also showed us in the Cyber Workstation. And that you can work on directly. So in this labs that we'll be doing in a couple of days to come, please, like I said, get your system set. So once I click, I do, you also do same. And by the time you do 1 or 2, 3 labs, I think the other labs will come handy for you. Okay, and so the command line are actually named as some variation of the word. So in Linux, popular terminal emulators terminator, etem, xtem, console, the gnome terminals, and all that. And the fabrics, Bellard has created JS Linux, which allows an emulated version of Linux to run in a browser. So the term shell, console, and console window, command line, terminal, and terminal windows are often used interchangeably. So in case you hear console, console window, command line, there are ways of trying to get into the real operating system itself. So whichever one you hear, so when you hear the terminal, you hear the console, you hear the shell, they all actually mean the same. So the Linux shell, the figure shows the GNOME terminal, which is a popular Linux terminal emulator. This you can see more on Red Hat. It's actually very popular with most of the Linux operating system. So let's look at the basic command. You can see the MV, which moves or rename your files directory. You can see the ch mode, which modify file permissions. These are kind of some of the basic commands that you can use in Linux. But as we go on, you use as many commands. You'll see we have to introduce a lot of commands and also process. So it'll also be nice you look at the documentation for Linux command. They are available online, which you can actually play around with. Very important. You have the sudo, you have the ifconfig, you have the apt-get to install. I'll show you when you want to install new packages. You have the IW to configure wireless network and related information. You can use the shutdown just to change password for password. So you can see all this command, which stuff you can try your hands on. And even to display files inside directory, you use the ls and all that. So it would be nice that we have all this handy as we go on. So working with the text files, Linux has many different text editors with various features and functions. Some text editors include graphical interface and others are command line that we have also said here. So each text editor includes a feature set designed to support a specific type of task. Some text editors focus on programmer and include features such as syntax and highlighting parentheses check and other programming focus features. So it all varies. So while the graphical text editors are convenient and easy to use, the command line based text editors are very important for Linux users. That I've said that we need to master that on the command line, which is very important. So the figure shows the Nano, which is a popular command line text editor. So the editor is editing firewalls, fire rules. Text editors are often used for system configuration and maintenance in Linux. So due to the lack of graphical support, the Nano, which is the new Nano, can only be controlled with the key, with the help of the keyboard. So remember, this is a popular command for text editor. So we're talking about how you can carry out the text editor. So in the importance of text files in Linux, everything is treated as a file. That is correct. This includes the memory, your disks, the monitor, and the directories. All the directories, everything is treated as a file. Configuration files are text files, which you can always import. And we're going to demonstrate that in some of the practicals, the labs. You see that I used to store adjustment and settings for specific applications or services. Users with proper permission levels can be used, can use text editors to change the contents of configuration files. So after the changes are made, the file is saved and can be used by related service. So you can actually save and then reuse it. And that's why even the Cisco Iris has some a very high element of Linux too. And that's why you can do the config files. You can reuse most of these files over and over again. So the administrator used the command sudo nano etc host to open file. Okay, so importance of text file in Linux still in the figure, the administrator opened the host configuration file in nano for editing and did that directly. The host file contains static mappings of host IP addresses to names so that you can see to your right. The names serve as shortcuts that allow connecting to other devices by using a name instead of an IP address. So instead of using an IP address, you can actually use a name. So you can see to the left, you can see IP address, you can see the details, which is like a name to that IP address to your right. So what we're saying here is that you can as well, it can serve as allows connecting to other devices using just the name instead of you using the IP address. So there's a lab here which is working with text files in command line. So I'm actually going to stop here with this lab. And like I said, we have a number of labs we need to do as we go on. So permit me tomorrow, we will start with some of the labs. And so we could get to somewhere here. And then, like I said, everybody's meant to do all the labs. So are we doing some of the labs while you'll be doing others yourself? If you have issues, please let me know. You can chat me up with the problems you're having, and then we can fix that together. But it is compulsory that everybody must get done the labs. We are all instructors, and it's of our best interest to walk through every lab so that once our students are complaining, you know where to actually go to solve that problem. So in this lab, you get familiar with Linux command line text editors and configuration files. So we need to do this. So I'm going to stop at this point. If there are questions to ask, you can ask me questions, and I'll answer. So by tomorrow, we'll continue. But the reason why I didn't really do that, I wanted to be sure that everybody have their system working for them. So there are a couple of labs we'll just do, just been trying hands on. We're just starting. The main labs is when you start going to module 19, 20, 21, where you have a lot of investigations to carry out. But at this level, we're getting ourselves familiar with the cyber workstations, with the operating systems. Remember, we talked about Windows, and now we're looking at Linux. So there are labs to familiarize you with Windows, and then there are labs to familiarize you with Linux. So we need to get to those fundamentals before we get to the main labs, which is ahead of us. But like I said, most of the labs you're seeing here are straightforward labs, which you can do and report immediately. And if you have any issues, you can let me know. So for tomorrow, we'll just sit on the labs. So basically, I won't be doing much explanation tomorrow, but rather I'll just walking through some of the labs with us. So do we have any question at this point? Hello, do we have any question? Or do I ask us question?
No,
Mr. Julius, have you installed your all your stuff? You have it working? Your VirtualBox is working? Your server workstation is working for you? And have you attempted the first lab, which is you trying to do research on threat actors and all that? Have we all done that, please? one of the important thing here is you must work on these labs. I have to stress on it on and on. I have few submissions from some of us, very few, very, very few. But like I said, I have the names and then I keep working with those names. When it's time to graduate as an instructor, those are the people who are first of all graduate from the class. So back to Ross. Any questions so far? Hello.
Hi.
Yes. Do you have any question, or I should ask us question? Okay. No question. So, like I said, I have a meeting I want to get into, and I would like to ask that we start working on the labs in as much as I'm also going to demonstrate this. And if you have issues, feel free to ask me. And then if yours is not working for you, you also let me know. I will open the window between tomorrow 10 a.m. Between 11 p.m. GMT plus 1 to 1 o'clock for those of you who are having issues with the installation. I'll come online, the same link, with the same link we have. This link will be used throughout this course. We're not going to change it. I'll come online between that period and help you through if you have issues with the installation. Is that clear?
Yeah, sure.
So that would be like a tutorial guide for those of us so that we don't obstruct the normal class. So I will provide that window period between 10 to 12 tomorrow, GMT plus 1. So you can check it out in your own local time. And you can come online and then I will guide you through if you have such issues. Okay, so those of you that have issues, please getting that done. Join us by that time so that we can get you on track. So that once we start the labs by 4:30 GMT plus 1, you won't be lagging behind. For those newcomers, there are people who actually, this is the first time taking a course on as a Cisco instructor. So we have to make sure we take it slowly with you so that you don't get discouraged. Okay. So if there are no questions, I'm going to pause here for today and then I'll be available tomorrow to continue. Okay, Bernard, I can see your hand raised up. Any issue?
So tomorrow we will
It's
have
about
two sessions.
the class attendance. Is there any
Morning,
attendance for
people who has issue with installing virtual machine, and at night
Hello?
we'll continue to explain
Hello,
as
Doc.
to
If I get you clearly, the attendance is actually more on when you do your labs, your assessment, and you send within the week. Once this week is ended and you haven't sent the one for this week, automatically you have lost out for that week. That's what it means. But for Arnold, if I hear you correctly, if you're talking about installation of the virtual box and all that, I said
No,
I'll be available between.
can you hear me? Can you hear me now, doctor?
Yeah, I can hear you very well. You can speak
Yes.
loudly.
My question was, so tomorrow we will have two sessions. One for the people
Yes,
who
two
have
sections. Yes, the first section is for those probably who are having issues with your system, probably wrong configuration and all that. I'll be available to help them through. Then the second section is we just work on the labs, or we all work on the labs together.
We are continue.
So I'll make it very interactive, where everybody will contribute, and then we just solve the problem.
And the first session is not obligated, right? It's optional. If we have a problem, we can join. If not, we cannot. We will not join, right?
You said?
And the first session is not obligated, right? So if we don't have a problem, we are not going to join.
Yes, if you don't have a problem, you don't need to join. You don't need to join. If your system is working very well for you, all your virtual box, cyber workstation, your security onion, all working well, you don't need to join. You just wait till the 4:30 and then wait. I just want to say that I have a dedicated time for those who are having issues so that they can speak out and be very open to express the challenges they have. Okay, so 4:30 p.m. for the general class tomorrow.
Maybe a question, eh?
Yeah, I can hear you.
This is Kefa. Yes.
Yeah,
So
Kefa,
now,
go ahead.
I think for me, a question would be because of at times my busy schedule, working for the ministry at times becomes a bit during in our time zone during the day becomes a bit busy for us. So I hope you are open to maybe in case I'm stuck somewhere, sending you an email or even a WhatsApp.
Perfect. If you have any issue, you can send me a mail.
Okay, so not a problem. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kefa. Okay, but please, like I said, the activity for the week, you just have to submit it for that week. Once that week is over and you submit it the following week, it won't count. You just have to submit for that week. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.